You're with the Newsmakers. On the panel, Nicky, Wagner, Megan Woods and Duncan, Webb. Is the Christchurch mayoralty destined to be a cliffhanger? Wednesday night's Star newspaper poll indicates a virtual dead heat between Bob Parker and Jim Anderton, 35 to 34, and 26% of people are undecided. Of course, it was a small sample, but it's an interesting insight nevertheless. What do we make of it? Nicky?
Well, I think it's really interesting because, generally speaking, in mayoral contests, you don't see a mayor under pressure. And I think Bob has performed magnificently in a crisis situation under pressure. And I think the average Christchurch person will say, well done, and you should have the opportunity to continue the work.
Duncan?
Oh, look, we're all talking about Bob's performance in the earthquake, let's not escape that, and that was an extraordinary event. And in terms of keeping the community calm and being the front man for the City Council, he did a great job.
Should he be rewarded for it?
No, because that's not what you get rewarded for. You get voted in to be the mayor if you can manage a city and you can manage a council. And the question is whether he can do that. So, I mean, he was great on TV. That's what he does. He is a great TV host, and he hosted the Christchurch City earthquake like a consummate professional. But I'm not sure, given what he's done since then, now that things are actually hard work and they're really difficult, that he's got what it takes, you know, because you have to make some hard decisions, and decisions that are democratic decisions. And it's interesting to think the council now has been given, not the council, but the council alongside the minister, Jerry Brownlee, has been given some extraordinary powers to set aside legislation and to make essentially their own rules as to how they manage this. And that's the kind of responsibility that's enormously important. And I think there's a risk that those kind of powers will be abused.
But I think Duncan's hit the nail on the head that, I mean, nobody is questioning what a great job Bob did during the earthquake. That is without question in terms of fronting it. But people have a very clear decision now. They've got to make a choice based on the last 3 years, not the last couple of weeks. They've got on one hand the architect of Kiwibank, someone who's demonstrated that they can get the hard things done, or they've got the architect of the Henderson bailout. And what we are seeing is that a leopard doesn't change its spots. In the case of Bob, we're seeing more closed door, behind closed doors, secret decisions being made without involving the council and without bringing people into these decisions.
Let's suppose I was unimpressed with a lot of Bob Parker's decisions and demeanour in recent years, but I have found his performance exceptional in the last 3 weeks. What should sway my vote? The 3 years or the 3 weeks?
Well, I don't think that Bob has been a bad mayor during the last 3 years. I think our city has gone forward. I think he has a strong vision for the future of Christchurch. I think we have a wonderful opportunity to use this crisis and go forward with it. I think there's going to be a lot of money pumped into the city. I think it's really important that people who are already in the system, that know that how it works, can go forward. And I think Bob can do that job well. And we have no reason to suspect that Jim can.
Okay.
Well, we've got a stellar political career to suspect, but Jim has demonstrated his ability to get difficult things done. When you say that Bob's done a great job, well, the people of Christchurch didn't think that. Look at the polling before the earthquake. Jim Anderton was 20 points ahead in the polls. That is unbelievable.
But does this show how soft that support was?
Exactly,
No, I don't
because
think
it was so much undecided.
No,
and I
coming
think
back.
that for the future of Christchurch, I would like to see Bob going forward. I think he knows his council, he's worked with his council, he's got much more opportunity to have a council that's aligned with the mayor, and I think that the future for Christchurch is much brighter under him.
To be fair, it's going to be a close run.
It's going to be close.
People have to think very carefully about which way they vote on this. You know, and obviously I know which way I'm going to vote, but I do think you have to look not just at snapshots, but at what kind of person the proposed mayor is and what kind of politics they have, you know.
OK. I'm sure we won't have a unanimous verdict on who should win the mayoralty, but do we have a unanimous verdict that this will be wafer thin, the result, in terms of the difference between the two? Will it be close?
I hope not, because I hope the people of Christchurch have seen somebody who has been tested in a crisis and has delivered well and gives them the opportunity to continue that job.
It's very stoic support.
Yeah.
That's not exactly a clear answer. It was a yes, no question,
Yes.
I think. Yes, it's wafer for thin.
Yes, it's wafer thin.
Really?
And people are... people are...
You've got to have faith in your voters. And if I didn't have faith in the voters, I would not be sitting here today.
All right. I'll tell you what, we'll have a quick look at the earthquake 3 weeks on. Your impressions, observations. What stands out for you very quickly, Duncan?
Oh, look, what a great job a lot of volunteers did over the past... I've talked to a whole lot of civil defence volunteers, ordinary people who most of the time just have ordinary jobs, and they just did extraordinary things. Well done, those people.
Megan?
I think one of the things that struck me the most is the sense of community that sprang out around it and the way people worked together. I was really impressed by that. Went round a large number of neighbourhoods and communities talking to people, and just people pitching in and helping each other. It's not the kind of thing that you see. I mean, I've talked to people in my street that I've never talked to before. There's probably more of an indictment on myself than anything else. But it just, I think it really did, out of this adversity, did come something quite special.
It has been like a non-stop neighbourhood week, hasn't
Absolutely.
it?
Well, it's brought the best out of Cantabrians and also New Zealanders, actually, because they've stood behind us. But the key that I think is important is that we get our head around the actual scale of this disaster. If you think about it in terms of what's gone before, the worst thing that we've had before in terms of natural disasters was the Inangahua earthquake in 1968. 10,500 insurance claims. There's going to be over 100,000 insurance claims this time around. Wow. So this is 10 times bigger than anything we've ever seen in New Zealand before. And that is really significant. It's going to be a long, hard slog.
And I think just picking up on that scale issue, I think one of the things that we absolutely have to do here is manage expectations. We had today Bob Parker and John Key talking about the fact there's going to be announcements, and that's all being delayed. There's people in real pain, their futures are under threat.
To the pick of the week, and in contrast to this country's polar blast in the last few days, there were some passing motorists in Delaware who were a bit taken aback when they were passing this temperature sign on the roadside, and they thought global warming has arrived in full force, 501 degrees Fahrenheit. Just imagine that. Oh yes. Thank you very much to our panel, Nicky, Wagner, Megan Woods and Duncan Webb. Have a good weekend. Stay safe. Good night.
Cheers.